Hi everyone, my name is Abdurrahman Tailab and I'm recording this video to demonstrate the midterm assignment of iOS application development. Okay, let me get over to the Xcode project. And what I have here is you can see here two screens basically, one to create a list and the second one to delete or view the lists. And what I have here is a list of a stack view of text fields, steppers, and label views. Okay, let me get over to the code and explain it real quick. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible because I have, as should be like maximum of 5 minutes, but hopefully I don't get past that. Anyways, so I get the list name, all the IB outlets of the text fields, labels, and steppers. I also create a dictionaries of those so that I can access them and get their values and delete them later. And I fill those dictionaries with, keep in mind I use integers here so that I can easily loop through them later, with each one being correlated to the other one correctly. So label 1 to item 1 is number 1 and so on. And then I call the function reset, which is the same function that gets called when the cancel button is pressed. And what this function basically does is it loops through each of those dictionaries and it sets their values to zeros or nil in case of the text fields. And the list name will be by default a shopping list as instructed. And the stepper, when the stepper is pressed, I access the tag attribute. This attribute is to uniquely identify each stepper pressed, and basically it also correlates to those integers over here, so it's going to be the same. So the first stepper tag is 0 and so on and so on. This is going to help a lot when accessing the values. Okay, so each labels dictionary of this stepper tag will have its text set to the stepper value. And when cancel is pressed, it will reset the whole thing that I've shown earlier. Now when save is pressed, I get the list name and I get and I create this list of dictionaries. So it's basically a dictionary of strings and dictionary of strings to strings. Now this is important because I'm going to save the list name over here and I'm going to save the items and quantities over here as values and keys. Now what I do over here in this line is I get the documents directory, which is this directory over here. And this directory is basically the documents folder of the application ID of the simulator ID over here. Now I don't want to go back and back and back because it's so hard to find. Anyways, I also declare the file, which is basically lists.json. And what I do now after getting the file is I read this file to know if there are anything inside it. So if we do have a list already existing, we don't want to remove it and overwrite our own list. We just want to append to it. So what I do here is I read the contents of the file and save it in this variable called data, and then I create a list out of this data and save it in this format over here, the same format that we create our own list. And then I store this list inside my own list. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a dictionary or list of the items so that I can correlate it later to the list name. Okay, so what I do here is I loop through 0 to 5, which is 6, because it's a number of how many items that I have. And anyways, I store in this dictionary over here the keys and values of those labels dictionary and the text dictionary, the values of them. So the value of the labels dictionary and the value of text dictionary will be stored as values and keys of this dictionary, and this dictionary is going to be stored as a value of this super dictionary, which correlates to this list name as its own key. So we have the list name as key to a value of my items dictionary, which is keys and values of labels and text. Okay, sounds a little bit complicated, but that's the way I had to do it. Anyways, what I do later here is I write this whole list all together to the file that is lists.json. And what I do over here, let me demonstrate this real quick before I show you how to delete it. And when I press run, this is going to also show the launch screen over here, as you've seen. And let me show you the JSON file while executing those commands. Okay, so it's this just a gibberish list that I was testing. And let's say we have my nice list or whatever. And let's say apples, 3 apples, oranges, 4, and let's say a TV, 1 TV, USB cables, maybe 2 or 3, sandwich, maybe 2 or 4 sandwiches, maybe 5, and a pair of shoes, maybe 2. Okay, now watch what happens when I click save. Boom, it's saved over here. And when I click cancel, it refreshes the whole list back. And when I click on favorites, it will show those 2 lists inside this file. So as you can see over here, my nice list is 1 TV, 3 apples, 4 oranges, and just as the way that is intended to be. And now when I click delete, it is going to empty this whole file back. And when I try to view it again from the application, it's empty. Okay, now let me show you how this happens. First, when I try to read the file to show it inside this second screen, I get the documents directory again, and I set the file name to list.json, and I read the contents of the file and save it to data, and then I save this data, serialize it, and save it to the list variable as the same format. Now what I'm going to do to extract the data from this format is I'm going to have to loop through those, and then I'm going to have to loop through those. And the way I do this is I loop through the list. So for each list in the list, I get the key, which is the list name, and I store it, and then I separate it by this nice looking dashes. And then for each item in this list, which is basically for each item in this list value, which is this dictionary over here, I'm going to get each value and key, and then I'm going to display them. So it can say like 3 apples and so on and so on. Now, what happens when delete is pressed is the same exact thing, except I write to the file an empty list. So I declare here an empty list of this format, and I just write it to the whole file, and that's basically the entire application. And I'll leave a link to GitHub if you want to try it out. If you have any questions, please send me an email, and please have a great day.